diplomatic moves to appear more willing to stabilize relations with Western nations. He needs to in order to address a lot of the challenges that are building here domestically, the key one being trying to revive the economy after 3 years of zero COVID concerns. That China is spying on the U.S. and vice versa is really no secret. And that there is some level of engagement between the two sides right now can be seen as an improvement over recent years. But what isn't clear is whether China will exercise these further repercussions and exactly what their options would be. But certainly flying a spy balloon right over the heads of Americans is seen as a blunder and a setback.
And Jeremy Bash, so why would the Chinese be using balloons? They have satellites. And do you think there's anything to this report in the New York Times yesterday, Julian Barnes reporting that there had been a classified briefing recently about aerial surveillance using new technologies? And it didn't say specifically that it was China, but that it was one of our adversaries doing something with aerial surveillance that they had not done before. Could there be any connection here?
Yeah, Andrew, I can't comment specifically about that sensitive reporting, but what I can tell you is that these airships, and they're not really referred to as balloons in national security circles, they're referred to as airships. They provide, I think, two important capabilities. First and foremost, they can hover over one place for much longer than a satellite can. So they can have long dwell, persistent surveillance, that proverbial unblinking eye over a target. And second is, as Dan referenced, they're much cheaper to field. You don't have to fire a rocket into space. You don't have to launch a $1 billion satellite. So therefore, they're much harder to detect when they launch. They kind of can sneak up on you. And if the Chinese can field them in quantity as opposed to high quality, then they could potentially they could accept the risk of having a few shot down, and they could still derive some intelligence benefit from it. So we're going to have to develop a capability to bring these airships down from high altitude safely on land. We can't let them wander all over the United States. I don't think that the Chinese were able to get a lot more information they can already get from their satellites, and so I don't think our national security was harmed. But going forward, we're going to need a capability to deal with this airship threat.
Is there any way that this airship should have been taken down? I mean, what the Defense Department, what the Pentagon is saying very vigorously is, in their pushback against the Republicans, that, you know, they try to minimize any deaths to civilians, to children, to spouses, whatever, women and children, when they're going after an ISIS terrorist. So if they're doing that, isn't it defensible that they would not want to take down something, it was the size of 3 buses, the pod itself, take down something that could have hit a school or a church or a farmhouse?
Well, the United States has not shot at another country's aircraft since World War II, since Pearl Harbor. And that was over Hawaii, and Hawaii wasn't even a state then. The Air Force didn't exist. So this is completely unprecedented that the Air Force would be called upon to shoot down another country's airship over our own territory. And if you're the United States military, if you're General Milley or General Van Herk, the commanding general of U.S. Northern Command, the assessment that they're going to have to make, and they apparently made it, is that the debris field could be several miles wide. 3 buses worth of metal will be falling down, potentially on hospitals, potentially on kindergartens. Is that risk worth taking, or can we disable the communications? Can we jam the communications link, which the military said they were able to do? Can we ensure that this is not going to collect any sensitive intelligence? Can we take counterintelligence measures on the ground and then safely bring it down over water? So I think the military did an excellent professional job. Could we have shot it down earlier? If we could have done it safely, surely we should have done it. Obviously, the military's judgment was that it was much safer to do it over water.
And, Jeremy, when we look at this, big picture, I reported that there were U-2 planes circling it. Could they have been gaining a lot of intelligence since they had U-2 spy planes taking pictures at close range of this thing as it was traveling across the United States?
Yeah, undoubtedly, once that airship can go down to 50 or 60,000 feet, and some reports have indicated that it really was meant to operate much higher, but that it had inadvertently drifted lower. That presents an opportunity, Andrea, as you reported, for our own high-altitude spy planes, either manned or unmanned, to go up, get a close look at this airship, how it was steered, what the motors look like, what the communications links look like, what the sensors look like. And I think we're going to derive a lot of valuable information from collecting the debris in the water. So in all respects, I have to agree with the previous reports. This was a major unforced error and a blunder by China. I don't know if they meant to do it or didn't mean to do it, but it was a massive setback for their intelligence collection program. And I think globally around the world, we can be talking about China's invasion of sovereignty, and this provides the United States with an important moral upper hand.
And just one other corrective from my reporting, and I think yours as well. This was not something that drifted. Yes, the jet stream carries it, but we know that it was manageable. It was tacking the way a sailboat would tack, and it went over Canada, from the Aleutians over Canada eastward, and then took a sharp turn down through Idaho to cross back into U.S. space.
Yeah, I think we knew that it was directly being steered, and so we had to take it down.
Okay, Jeremy Bash, DeAngelis, Janice Mackey-Frayer, thanks to all of you. And new rules. The first big change to the presidential primary calendar.